And so I guess right now is a good time to do a formal introduction. Um, Huinga GCR, Huinga Yupa Kangun. My Yupik name is GCR. It means little bug. I am a Yupik man. I come from the Kuskokwim River, Kuskok Vagamyu, and Mamflarishamutlu, Anyaragamutlu. I come from the villages of Bethel and Aniak, and I now work for Native Student Services with Amber, and I am the advisor for Native Student Council, who helped put on a lot of these events for Alaskan Native American Heritage Month. Anne Marie Aya is the Native Student Council president, and Amber Fulmer is our director of Native Student Services. So a good shout out. What? And welcome everybody to our third annual installment of Spill Your Ink. We also have Benjamin Morton in the house, who is the Dean of Students and Student Life and Leadership Director. I'm not sure what your title is exactly, Kim. It keeps on like upgrading, but she works for Student Life and Leadership. And we also have Cheryl Deveni from Student Life and Leadership as well. She's got a brand new baby. So congratulations and welcome, Peyton. We do have a few featured storytellers in the house. Matthew Naboktuk Sanchez is going to be telling a story. Crystalline Lemieux is going to be telling a story as well. I have a story that I might share tonight. I am not sure. My buddy Ed should be logging on at some point in time, and maybe even Paul might tell his story too. But starting us off tonight is going to be Natasha, after we have our land acknowledgement, which Marilyn Baluda, who works for Kanik Tribe and does Deneina language and culture work for them. And I am going to turn the microphone and the stage over to Marilyn at this time. So let's give Marilyn a nice warm welcome, please. Thank you. You're on mute still.
Chinan for inviting me. Shishida, Shiji, Maryland, Beluda, Ishlanshi, Dinaina, Ishlanshi, Gacha Ishlanshida, Nadalton, Shigo, Shakaya, Kalan, Anchorage, Shigu, Shakaya, Kalanda, Idishunta, Kutan, Katnagaluda, Andrew Bluda, Shututta, Bekhesan, Dolly Parker, Shunta, Bekhesan. I said, my name is Marilyn Beluda. I'm Dinaina Athabaskan, and my clan is Gachi, which is Raven. I am from Nandalton, that's my village. And that's where my parents raised me. And my parents are Shatutta, my dad, Andrew Beluda, Vakasan, meaning he already passed on. And my mom, Shunta, Dolly Parker Beluda, Vakasan, and Chinan. And yeah, Chinan for inviting me to do the Dinaina land acknowledgement. I would like to say that in Dinaina. And what I would like to say is Nakam Dininyo. It means welcome to Dinaina Ifnena. That means Dinaina land. So welcome everybody. I am glad to be here. And it was sure nice to find out about all the events that UAA is putting on. Chinan.
Oyanapa, Marilyn, thank you for being here with us. We really appreciate that. And we definitely appreciate being on the traditional unceded land of the Deniina people, um, who have been stewards of Cook Inlet or Tikatnu, the big water river, for a really, really long time. Um, so what I wanted to explain here is that this is a safe place for us to share our identities, and some of our tattoos can be really personal and um, close to really significant events in our life. And so I just want to make sure that we're very cognizant of each other and supportive in this space. And so I just want to make sure that we are very conscientious of each other and empathetic of our tattoos, and sharing this space is this is our stories, and this is who we are, and these are our identities, and these are some really beautiful stories that can come out. And so I just want to make sure that we are all in agreement with that. Um, if you are not speaking, please remember to turn off your microphones if possible, but remember to turn them back on if you want to speak. So um, with that, I'm going to kind of go over what might be a good idea for sharing your tattoo tonight, if that is something that you're wanting to do. Sorry to those who I've already said this to like 3 or 4 times already tonight, but what we're thinking that might be a good idea is, if you have a picture that you might want to share of your tattoo, share your screen, and you can have that picture already kind of sitting in the background. And if you need to get off camera to go and take care of that, get a picture saved on your computer or what have you. And so when you begin your story, you can share the image on the share screen. You should all have a share screen button on the bottom, and then come back to your picture or to your video, and then tell your story from there. And can I get a thumbs up that we kind of all right? Good, 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 good. Like, I like seeing the animated ones too. Okay, cool. So what usually these stories are only a few minutes, like 3 or 5 minutes. And whatever, how much time you want to take to tell your story, we can kind of allow for that. As long as it's not like 15 or 20 minutes. Sometimes I know we can get really talkative, with some of our storytelling, but for the sake of respect of other people's time here, we want to make sure that we have limiting that to about 10 minutes. But most of our stories are done in about 3 to 5, which has been pretty much the common theme throughout the last 2 years that we put this on. And we don't have a specific order. We have a couple people who are planning on telling their story. And the first one is Natasha Gamash. And so if you wouldn't mind turning on your camera and opening up your microphone, and then, hello, Waka, welcome.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
Okay, so Natasha said that she would be able to tell her tattoo story, and let's give Natasha Gamash a nice warm welcome, please.
Hi, everyone. I just want to start off with, man, I sure miss you guys. Some of you, like, I don't know everybody here, but when this darn COVID thing is done, I'm going to hug you till your heads pop off. And I sure miss you. Tattoo is on my arm, and it's like kind of, what? Oh, man, close the door. Uh-oh. See, this is what happens when we're all on Zoom. Okay, where, anyway. Oh, share screen, right here. Okay, can you see that? Yay, okay. So I have a lot of tattoos, but the one that it was suggested that I share about is the tattoo that you see on the screen. This one on the bottom was right after it was first done. And then the top one, I think it was like a day or two later. So this tattoo is on my, oh geez, my left forearm. I kind of directionally challenged. Anyway, 3 to 5 minutes, holy buckets. I should have prepared something for this. Okay, so here's the story. We all know the story about Justin Schneider, right? He kidnapped a woman, committed a crime against her. She did everything right, and the criminal justice process failed her. And during the sentencing hearing, the prosecuting attorney said, "This is your one free pass," right? That was fall of 2018, if I remember correctly. Anyway, in response to these circumstances, the artist that created this piece, her name is Sarah Whalen Lunn. And then she also has a page called Ink Stitcher. So I think in response to that, if I remember correctly, Sarah made this piece, which again, if I'm remembering correctly, was supposed to signify women and our healing in our culture. So, you can see this woman laying within a salmon, and it's supposed to represent healing. Because, unfortunately, Alaska Native women and, lower 48 Native women, we are disproportionately affected by all kinds of violence. And, as was evidenced in the Justin Schneider case, too infrequently are we given justice for those crimes. Close the door. I'm on camera and you're naked. See, this is why I usually leave my video off, because nobody believes me. My kids are half dressed. They're like little, I don't know what you call them. Anyway, I'm sorry about that. So when Sarah first made this piece, she wasn't going to let anybody get it as a tattoo, because she felt like, as a general rule, she only gives one person one piece of artwork. So like, let's say you want a specific bunny rabbit. Only that one person gets that tattoo. She doesn't tattoo the same tattoo on lots of people. Well, after making this, so many women reached out to her and said, "Hey, this piece really speaks to me," and Sarah said that she wanted to open it up for anybody to get it. And I had really wanted to get it because prior to the Justin Schneider and even the Me Too movement, I had to go through a reporting process for someone in my life who was committing crimes against my children. And so this piece really spoke to me. So I reached out to Sarah and I said, "Hey, I want to get it," because she opened it and I said, "I want it." And she said, "Okay." And it took some time to coordinate, but we got together and I was the first person to get this piece of artwork tattooed on their body. And I think please close the door. The part that was most powerful for me, if you get like, I don't know what you got, like a Western style tattoo, like, I don't know if you could see this one, but it's got a rose and some writing. They use a tattoo gun, you go to a parlor, whatever. That to me, it's very sanitized. It's very commercialized. It's professional and really impersonal. And the very special part of this tattoo for me was that this was the antithesis of that experience. Before we even started, she smudged everything. She smudged herself. She smudged me. We once we got started and we were looking for a place, I have more tattoos that are coming. And so we kind of talked about the story of this tattoo and the ones that are to come. And then once we started the tattoo, it wasn't just, a commercial process. It was a spiritual ceremony, in my opinion. That's what I would call it. I did a lot of crying, and Sarah cried with me. And what I did while she did this piece of art is I told the stories of the sexual assaults that I went through in my life and the domestic violence that I went through in my life. And I shared what my kids went through and the criminal justice process and how, like I said, so often it fails us. And I just shared all of it, and I cried and I cried. Holy buckets, I cried. And Sarah cried with me. And, and then once we were done crying, because it took probably a couple hours to do this, then we were talking and then we were laughing, and so I didn't leave feeling heavy-hearted or re-traumatized or nothing like that. I felt like I had just become empowered, like this tattoo to me, it represents a badge of honor that what those people did not break me. It will not break me. And the fight that I'm fighting, it's for a good cause, and this is a daily reminder that I don't give up. One day at a time. I don't give up. I keep going. I keep fighting, because there's a saying, be the hero you needed when you were younger. I really needed a hero when I was younger. And I've needed a hero a lot of times in my life, and I've never had one except for me. And, I don't know why God made me the way he did, but a lot of people say I have a lot of strength. So today, instead of doing not so good things with that anger and frustration and so on, I put those feelings to good use. I put that history to good use. And I try to fight for people in whatever way I can, because that's how the Creator made me. That's my journey. And good, bad, or indifferent, I have to honor that. And so that's what it is. I don't know what else to say. Did I say enough?
I'm not sure how many minutes you took, but that was really, really good story.
Oh, good. Okay.
Boy,
All right.
Natasha.
Does anybody have any questions? No. All right. I'm going to stop sharing. I love you, Jennifer.
I love you.
This is my partner, Jennifer. She's got a tattoo too. She said she might even tell her story tonight. We have another person who's here. We're not going to have him come on yet, but I wanted to give a shout out to my brother from another mother, Torin Jacobs, aka River Flows. We grew up together, and there's him and all of his family. There's my nieces over there, and there's, who is that? Is that Lena up there? I can't see her head. Oh yeah, hey. So yeah, Torin's gonna bless us with with some words a little bit later. He's not gonna tell us his tattoo story, but he's gonna bless us with some words he's got. What I'm thinking now is we might have, I am not sure, Crystalline or maybe Matthew. one of you want to go next?
I think Paul was raising his hand.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure, if you don't mind. Yeah.
Oh, if you're down, I'm
Yeah.
down. let's
Yeah.
give Paul Johnson. And we just talked earlier today, and I was like, come on, I've been talking to him for months, and like, come
You
on,
have,
I want to hear your sleeve story. And
you have, you have.
so this is Paul Johnson. Let's give him a nice warm welcome.
Right. Yake Tosatini, Punashish Hatay Ehe, Klinkakinak Yanish took your hut to a sock, Wushkitan Aya hut, take with the Naxiti Asla, Hoshkapan Yadi Hut City, Knech Kwan Ka Husu Kwan Sudak Aya hut, Ankech Kaya Ohat Yati. First of all, I said it's nice to see you all, some of you here. I said my Tlingit name was Janusz Took, which is important to my story today. My name is obviously Paul Johnson. I said I'm from the Shark clan. My mother is adopted Tekwedi Yakutat, and my father is the Quashquequan people of Yakutat, which also bears to my story. I said I hail from Angoon and Yakutat Kwan, Angoon, Hutsnua Kwan, but I live in Anchorage. So first of all, I want to say Ganesh Chish, Quinton, and everybody for allowing me to share my story. Oh, very nice, Christine. It's awesome. I'll really try to hurry to get my story because you give a Tlingit a microphone, it'll take forever. I'm going to share my screen with some of my photos here, and I want to kind of talk about that if I can. Let me see how I do this here, if I'm doing it right. Okay, so you should see a picture of an elder man. Is that correct? All right. So the man in the photo here, this is Janusz Took, George Jim Sr. He's the man's name that I carry. When I was 5 years old, well, I'll take a little farther back. My family hails from Yakutat. My grandmother and my grandfather is from Angoon. When my mother was pregnant with my next brother down, she was adopted in the Tekwedi Bear clan of Angoon, opposite of my father's moiety, who's Raven, Quashquequan, Moonhouse. And so when we moved to Angoon, I was a little boy, about 4 years old, but I had not yet got a Tlingit name yet. And he was the leader of the Shark clan, Shark House, Wushkitan, based out of Huna and Aknu Tus Hit of Juneau. And this elder here, when I say that he had a Forrest Gump life, I'm not talking about any, learning or mental capabilities. This man had an amazing life. He had outlived 4 wives. He had 30 children, fought in 2 world wars. There's just an absolute storyteller that lived to be 100 years old. So he played a very important role in my life. And we'll talk a little bit about where my ink came from. It's important to also share about where my family came from. This in the middle is my great grandmother, Maggie John of Yakutat, and one of the matriarchs, which they're distributing a traditional 100-year-old blanket, the White Raven, which is a rare crest, but of the Yakutat people. And it talks about the matriarch of our culture. So, as I said, Janusz Took had a very important role in my life. He was a tremendous dancer. And when I was young, 4 years old, just coming to Angoon for the first time, another Tlingit village, the first thing my grandmother said was, you got to go to Indian dance practice to be accepted here. Because I'm of lighter skin, a different town, even though of Tlingit heritage, you still go to a new town and you're trying to walk in 2 different worlds. And this gentleman up to here came to me and I was dancing there, and they've passed on, so I don't share names, but really they were teaching me how to dance like a girl and chuckling about it. And while a gender thing is not what it meant to be, it was meant to kind of make fun of me and tease me. And this elder man came up and got mad and said, this is the grandson of Maggie John and Barbara Johnson. And if he wants to learn to dance, we're going to teach him. And from that moment, he took me under his wing and was just like a grandparent to me, and an elder that was not by blood. But then he asked my father for permission to carry his name while he was still alive. And to be the clan leader was a great honor that I didn't really appreciate until I got much older. And this is him at the commencement of the first 100-year bombing of the US Navy in Yangon. And you see the crest on the front of his tunic's a Thunderbird, the K, which is a little bit different than the Shungu KD from Klukwan and the Juneau area. But the Shark and Thunderbird clan crest is unique to that house. And it's got a lot of power to it. And this was the inspiration for one of my tattoos. And early on, the very first tattoo that I got here, the one in the middle, this little one right here, the two sharks, was very similar to the one that Janusz Chuk got during World War II while he served in Europe. And he had an amazing life. And that I had that tattoo done on me when I was in Australia, the first two sharks in the middle. And it was commenced, you know, in honor of him. He'd already passed away about 4 years before. And it was my trip and everything else. And I had taken it, like, you know, to commemorate the trip. And after going to Australia, I went to New Zealand and I learned about the culturing of tattooing. And I'd actually wished that I had waited until I had went to New Zealand to get my tattoo, because I just went to a shop in Australia and got a tattoo like most people do on spring break. And I had not yet learned to appreciate what the theme I was building for my body. And then the tattoo on the outside of this, that's a memorial tattoo. We're the people on the ocean in Yakutat, and my family has had two tragedies. I've buried two younger brothers, 8 years apart, that drowned commercial fishing, and they both had Kwagwantan names, Wolf Clan names, and so.
Screen isn't sharing, Paul.
Huh?
Your screen isn't sharing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me. Oh, screen sharing is paused. Okay, my bad. Sorry. Okay. Where did it stop at? Last photo. Did you see this one yet?
You might need to stop. If you stop share and then you then share the screen that you would like with the second photo.
Okay, I'm sorry, folks. Thank you for telling me, because I was changing photos.
No worries.
Okay, so has everyone seen this one yet?
No.
Okay.
First one.
Okay, so this is, I'll go back here. So this is Janusz Chuk in his tunic, and he's got the Thunderbird crest on the front of it. And this is the genus, the idea that I got for one of the tattoos that I have on the sleeve. And it's important, you know, this is elders are in my life, my great grandmother in the middle. This is the Maggie John we're talking about, the white raven blanket. And then, you know, coming down to it, and then this tattoo I have here, I hope it's showing up, right?
No.
Damn, okay.
You got to, I think you might have to stop share, or I'm not sure how you need to rotate.
I think it's because it might be too many photos. Let me try that. It might be too much photos. Let me close it and share it and then reshare it. Okay. Sorry, I'm sorry about that. Taking more time with technology here.
You're good.
It's really normal.
Okay.
I do Zoom support.
Okay.
That's cool.
Okay, so all right, so the tattoo in the middle, the small little sharks, is what I picked up in Australia, my first trip, a lifelong trip I always wanted to do. Just went into a tattoo shop, didn't think much about it, but I had that Janusz Chuk, George Jim in my mind. He had a very similar two sharks, almost yin and yang, when he got in the Second World War, and so that was part of it. But like I said, I wish I had picked it up in New Zealand, because the tattooing is very cultural there. The tattoo on the outside is a memorial of two wolves that are my two younger brothers that drowned 8 years apart. The artist designed it was Shane Brown of Yakutat, and he had just started getting into designing tattoos. So I always have been very supportive of new artists, but I'm also very supportive of finding new mediums to share our culture. And tattoos are the new mediums, whether it's rap music, you know, carving in different metals, glass, things like that. Clinkets are very good about that. I think what I'll just do is I'll take photos off, and then let's see, try it again here. Okay. All right, so the next one, that's an important one. So big part about what it is for us is that the message I wanted to share with you guys is that, you know, the tattoos for me had become part of my regalia and part of what we are, and it's part of our tunic. So this is my shark tattoo, one of the first where the sleeve kind of started. Is it showing? Ah. Okay, sorry about that.
There
See
you
it
go.
now? Okay. So this is the beginning of the shark face, that tattoo that I have on my left arm, and there's a significance for it too, because of different ways, and I'll show photos of later on just how they're dancing in the native culture. But one of the things I'd always thought about doing is I wanted to add accents to my regalia for our dancing. And I talked to my dad and our people, and what had happened is that our totems were how our history was recorded. And first contact, they burned our totems, they burned our canoes. And so the one way to tell our story was through our regalia. So if anybody's seen Tlingit dancers, or you love Northwest Coast art or form line, what you see may be the beauty side of it, but everything has a purpose. Color has a purpose. The flowers here, let me know if you see them. See the flowers? Okay. All right. Trying to think. Let's see. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can get it to work.
Oops.
I'm trying to think why I can't share. Okay. Also, like again, this is a 4-season flower. This actually designates the house that our clan is from. And so when you see different parts of the tunic here, this all has different purposes. So you see the tunic on the screen? Damn. Okay. I wonder why I can't do multiple. I'm trying to do a slideshow, and I wonder if it's just my screen here. Or okay. So that's a tunic. You see the tunic, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So again, I don't mean to take too long, but the flowers have purpose. Breeded by my daughter of Tlingit law, which is I don't have children of my own, but that's of her father's tunic vest. So the shark is on the back of the tunic, and some places they start dancing like Angoon. We dance in backwards to show that we are not a threat. And so that's why usually your crest is on the back. Yakutat's a little different. Crest is on the front. And so I know you guys you're here for tattoos. So let me go ahead and show a little bit of those. And I want to talk about actually this one real quick. And let me know if I could see here. And the new share. Okay, you see that tattoo there? Okay, that's on one of the shoulders. This was talking about, I think the previous presenter talked about the westernized tattoo. And this is of a phoenix. And, you know, I've had personal, professional life changes, losing brothers, losing those things. And all of us from a culture of animism, we find strength in an animal or a creature that brings it. And the phoenix is the only mythological creature that's actually represented in all of the world's oldest cultures. There's some version of a phoenix. And what I'd wanted was a tribal one. And again, this is before the Northwest Coast form line stuff came out. And I had one similar, and the artist goes, that's a beautiful design, but we all get older and that's going to turn to a blob. And so I agreed, and it's a beautiful design. I'm happy with it, but it's the one that stays kind of out of place. It doesn't quite fit. And so what I was trying to do was trying to realize that my ink had to symbolize more than something that was cool, more than something that where I was or where I was going or what I'd been through, but who I was as a person. And trying to go through, I know this is kind of, it could controversial with some cultures. People talk about walking in two worlds, but for us, when we're taught, we're encouraged to walk in two worlds. And we are not assimilating, but we are assimilating the Western world in our culture. And one of the ways that we do that is through our art. And so this is, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the top part, and the reason I'm sharing this one is right after it was done, the top part that you can see up here, where the head part is actually the original Thunderbird head. This is actually two tattoos that were added together, and there's a story to this. So when I realized, okay, I wanted to put my crest on my body, the left arm is usually what you lead with Tlingit dancing through Angoon. And then the other side, I had that shark that I showed. And I kept them at sleeve level so you couldn't see them when I was wearing a t-shirt or a polo. And the reason I did that was what I do for a living as a professional, white collar world. I was worried about what everyone's going to think. Would they be blown off talking to me or this or that? And for several years, and it's important for me to give credit to the artist. These designs are done by Joe Young. I know you're familiar with him, but he's a very accomplished Tlingit Haida canoe carver and totem carver. And this was his first foray in designing a design for tattoos around a little arm. So in a sense, these are my totems on my arms. And so I had my first set of totems, and I was talking about with my mother, and I said, God, I'd really love to get a sleeve because I don't think I've told enough of my story. And she always talked to me about doing it and convinced me to do it. And then she passed away a year ago in March. And before she died, she talked to me and said, son, that's who you are. They're not going to, having tattoos and having a sleeve of your culture is not going to take away your degrees. It's not going to take away your experience. They said, this is who you are and be about this. And so this is really special to me because the symmetric of the art and the work being done, not only was it important for me to have a Raven designer do this work, but the person who actually put it on my body, Kasha Palmer, is a very accomplished tattooist. She's actually Tlingit from Sitka. And she expressed to me that she had not, she grew up outside of her community and outside of her culture. And she said that, you know, this was a way, doing my work was a way for her to connect with her culture. And so these strings here, it went to full sleeves that I have. And so it's about who I am. It's about where I come from. It's about walking in both those worlds and being confident in who you are. And it's important who did my design. It's important who put it on my body. These are lifelong, I guess, odes to my culture, to my history, to my grandparents, where we came from. And I'm happy to say that they've been really well received by the elders in our community. And the other one that I have on my other arm, my right arm, is the Thunderbird here. So anybody who sat in a chair and got ink, the top ones, there was the Thunderbird itself was 4.5 hours or 5 hours straight, and the shark was 4. Then the bottom from the elbow down, the connections, they were another 5 and 4 straight in one sitting. And that to me was, I was sitting there, I was concentrating and thinking about the strength of our people. Anybody sat in a tattoo chair, they'll know it takes resilience, it takes concentration, and you just think about it. And I did think a couple times, I could not believe that I had that much ink around the elbows. But again, you know, it's all part of who we are. And these designs that we have, everything is thematic. And I was really, is important to me from the ink to the designs that are repeated on my, we call it bling, my cuffs, to my tana, you'll see the Thunderbird, to my nose ring, to the cuffs that we wear. And I wear these primarily when we dance at portions. So you folks are getting a little bit of an idea of, if you can imagine, if you've ever seen us dance, either Yakutat or Angoon, one of my most epic photos that I love is that celebration. But as this is pre-tattoo, but the idea of having the shark along my left arm, along the blade, serves a purpose. And that's the reason why I had it done. And I'm just about done here. Just to show you that I was very deliberate in, oops, uh-oh. That's not what I wanted to do. Hold on. One last one here. Thank you guys for being patient with me too. Okay, so the last one I want to share is, that's the shark along my left arm that leads, typically covering your eyes and your face, because you're normally wearing a hat or spear ears, bear ears, or things like that. So the thing I really want to take with it is it's about me, but it's really about where I'm from and who I am, and walking in both worlds by this new medium that my body is my totems, my body is my regalia, extension of who we are as people. And we don't have to ask for permission as long as people know where we're coming from. And so I'm very proud to know that natives designed this, natives put this on my body. And as the other presenter said, this is the only one. Nobody else has this, what I have. So I'm open to any questions you may have. Um, I'm very proud of the way that, you know, it happened, that I was able to get people that I respect, artists from Jennifer Younger with concept design, put my design on my cuffs, to, you know, crest and design that people, and so it matters. The gentleman who designed this, Joe Young, also designed the brown bear crest that's on my mother's box urn of ashes. And so this is very, very important to me, but it's also important to know that I know where I came from, and I bring knowledge to and from the people I meet in the outside world, other natives or non, and back to our own people. So I'm open to any questions, and I really appreciate the opportunity to tell my story. And I apologize if I took too much time.
Well, sheesh.
Uh,
I'm just honored to hear your story. I was when we first met last year during the A&B, ANS planning and whatnot, and then seeing your ink on Facebook not too long ago, I was just really impressed, and I thank you for telling your story and sharing your words with us. That's very powerful, and your words carry a lot of weight with them, and so goodness sheesh, brother. Good.
sheesh.
Crystalline messaged me while you were telling your story, and she was like, it's crazy how like these stories just kind of mesh together, and she wanted to tell her story next. And so I just want to say thank you. I think we're all blessed by what you brought us tonight. So I knew you were going to take more than 5 minutes, and I knew you probably took more than 10 minutes. So it's all good.
Like I said, give a clink of the mic.
I know. Well, let's give Paul a nice warm round of applause, man. That was amazing.
Sheesh. That's been goodness sheesh.
Can I say something?
Please.
I wanted to say thank you so much for sharing not just your tattoo, but sharing your culture with us. It's kind of strange how it happened, but I've had a lot of different Tlingit stuff coming into my life. And one of the things is I needed to take a language class, and the only one I could find was beginning Tlingit with Roberta Littlefield. So I'm taking that class right now, and as I've been taking it, you know, she doesn't just teach us the language, she tries to teach us about the culture. And I'm so impressed with how the Native people in Southeast Alaska were able to keep their culture and their traditions, their dances, and trying to keep their language, because where I'm from, I don't remember seeing anything like that growing up. And I just want to say thank you so much for keeping it alive and keeping it going and sharing it with us, because that's important, you know, and so many Native people are ashamed. I know where I'm from, it's really hard to learn in Yupok because people don't want to share the language. They don't want to teach it. It's really guarded, and they think half-breeds aren't worth it. And I love how you said we're walking in two worlds, and that's okay. So thank you so much for sharing tonight. Man, I'm gonna have everybody watch this video so they could see you. Thank you.
I appreciate that, and I do want to say that I'm inspired. My language, I know the Littlefield family. In fact, our relative's the one that did the tattoo work on me, so small world. But I do want to give props to the late elder that we had in Yakutat. She pushed that walk into worlds, because like I said, most people on here, probably except for me, Quentin knows different, would think that I'm part Tlingit. and people where I come from are very light skinned, or when I got mixed in it too. And we experience everything you talked about. And so if anything I can tell you is don't be discouraged by that, because there are people that are offended that I speak Tlingit and they don't. And my view is nobody is beating us for speaking the language of our grandfathers. There's never been more reason to share your culture. And trust me, we get it. That's not traditional or this or that. You just have to learn. And the people from Yakutat are a little bit different. We just kind of brush things off. We don't need to ask for permission. And that's just how we are. And our theory is make the world clink it. So that's kind of our world dominance. Make the world clink. But anyhow, thank you so much for comments. I'd be happy to give any numbers to designers or tattooers. I just really support our native people, and thank you for this this opportunity to share our story.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Paul. Buenos dias.
Mhm.
So thanks for the question, Natasha. That was really good too. And we will get a nice warm welcome for Miss Crystalline Lemieux.
Ganesh, thank you for both the two folks that shared before. My Tlingit pronunciation might not be as good, so forgive me. Gunsi yuhat dosak ye ayahat, deshitan nahatsati, deshu hit hidach ayahat, engun kwandach ayahat. So I said, Gunsi is my Tlingit name. I'm Raven. I'm from the Deshitan Raven Beaver clan. Yeah, and the Deshu Hit is the end of the trail house from Angoon. My mom is Stella Howard. My dad's Ken Lemieux. My grandma's Angelina Howard and the late Pete Howard. And Josephine Zellers, my great grandmother. And my great great grandmother is Bessie Nakamura. So that's a little bit about my family. But the reason why I wanted to go next was, yeah, Angoon. Was I really related to what was shared from the first two storytellers. And so I'm going to just share this first photo that kind of shares like the start of my journey. So I had graduated from UAA in 2015, and I had written a literature review about boarding schools, and it had really bothered me what I had learned. And I wanted to find a way, sorry, I wanted to find a way to honor my ancestors, and especially my great grandmother Bessie, who I got my name from, Gunsi, which means doll or daughter in Tlingit, or the name is very old, the meaning is lost. And so the only way I thought I could do that is if I made regalia. And I actually didn't want to make a tunic. I wanted to make a vest, but Shirley Kendall, a Tlingit elder, told me no. And the way she told me is she didn't listen to me when I said, "Oh no, Shirley, I just want to make a vest." She just said from here to here. So she pointed from her shoulder to her knee. That's how much fabric you need. And I tried telling her again because I thought she didn't hear me. And she looks at my mom and gives her a look because my mom was visiting. And then she looks at me and she said, from here to here. That's how much fabric you need. Go to the Joann's on Diamond. And then she looks at my mom and says, they have good deals there. And so that's how I ended up making this tunic and sort of began this journey of wanting to learn more about my Tlingit heritage. And another reason why I shared that tunic was, if you notice the shape, it looked very similar to a phoenix. And so that could kind of give you an idea of, something similar to a phoenix. And Shirley Kendall actually chose that for me. And now thinking back to it, I'm glad that she did, because it definitely was a whole process. And another thing is I thought it was funny that we have to almost leave the country for us to feel like we have permission to get this tattoo. And I had gone to New Zealand, and there was an Indigenous ink event in New Zealand. So when there isn't COVID, I highly recommend going if you have the opportunity. But I ended up being in New Zealand at the time when they were doing this event, and Nahan is a Tlingit tattoo artist out of Seattle, and he was there. And my whole family one year all got tattoos at the same time, and they asked me what I was going to get. But I really wanted to make sure that this was intentional and that it had a whole story and a meaning. And so I was originally going to get a Maori tattoo, and the lady there had talked to me and she said, "Okay, well, you're Tlingit, and I really think it's important for you to get a Tlingit tattoo by a Tlingit artist, and they're actually going to be this event." And so she told me about it, and my mom had sent me the information. And so I felt like it was back to that from here to here situation where I just wasn't listening. And so my mom had shared it with me. And so then I shared it with the host that I was staying with, and she didn't look like someone who would have a tattoo. She's a very professional Maori woman, but her tattoo filled her whole back, and it was a whale. And so um, there's just a lot of things that we don't know, with walking in two worlds. And if I had been too afraid to ask her, I wouldn't have gotten this tattoo. And so part of the reason why I got the tattoo was I knew that it would be part of a healing ceremony. And one of the things that I learned when I lived in British Columbia was by a professor, Rod McCormick. And he mentioned that through any kind of healing ceremony that you have, when you're going through a healing ceremony, you have this like event that comes up, and you have this life-changing experience that you go through, and before you do that experience, you actually leave your community or the comfort that you are naturally in, and you go through this like life kind of altering experience, and then you come back to your community and they welcome you back. And so I felt that when you're getting a tattoo, you're leaving, those comforts that you're used to, and you're going through this life-changing experience, because when you're getting a tattoo, it's pretty painful, and it just brings up things that have been buried so deep that you don't always think about. And so I felt like when I was getting this tattoo, it was one way to heal from the boarding schools. And so back to why I made that regalia was so that I could help Gunsi, my namesake, heal from that. And a lot of people believe that if you can heal yourself, you can heal the 7 generations that came before you and the 7 that are going to come after you. And so while I was getting this tattoo, I was thinking about all the things that I had read and really thinking about like letting them go. And yeah, I definitely cried a little bit. But another thing that was tough is in Tlingit culture, it's like this idea of kind of being tough. So I didn't cry, but I cried later on in the day by myself. But I felt that it was like a good way for me to like make an agreement also to learn more about my culture. And so I'm really thankful that they were there and that I listened. But the funny thing is, while I was on this healing journey, I kept meeting people. And one of the folks I met was a Filipino tattoo artist that he does like full body tattoos. And so he made this contemporary totem pole tattoo. And the weird thing is that in Western culture, we believe, oh, the low man on the totem pole, but that's not how it is. The story begins at the bottom. And so this doesn't follow form line, and it's just like a contemporary piece. But the idea was like the bottom is like really focusing on those ancestral teachings, and then the middle is kind of like grieving. It's like a sugar skull tattoo. And so grieving, and then I can finally make it to where I want to be. So this basically shows kind of like my life cycle and where I want to go. And the top is like my goals for myself. And it's one way to be able to document that and to remind myself what my goals are. So in thinking about goals, while I was on this journey, I kept meeting sober people, Indigenous sober people, and I didn't get it. And I've always told myself that I would be sober when I turned 30, which is hilarious because I'm 30 now and it's been about 4 years since I've been on this sobriety wellness journey. But I just kept meeting sober folks, and I actually got lost in the forest on a hiking trip. And basically, the one sentence sum of it was that I knew that it was my fault that I got lost. And I knew that I wouldn't be any help to anyone if I was dead. So I literally prayed to my ancestors, who I had learned in New Zealand that the Maori believe that the trees are their ancestors and their grandparents. So I very literally prayed to the forest and asked them to just spare me so that I could do something to help the Native community, because I had learned so much about the impacts of boarding school and how many social ills are in the community, and especially around substance use. And so about 5 minutes later, my friend found me on the mountain, and I decided that I would really focus on being sober. And so I got this tattoo on my right hand because I'm right hand dominant. And it really just shows a reminder of what my purpose is. Like, why am I even here? And so you'll notice in the photograph that there's people in a canoe. And so the person in the back represents our ancestors. They're really kind of steering and keeping us grounded. And so when the other three groups, the elders, the adults, and the youth, follow our ancestors' teachings, they can help us move forward and they can help us heal. And the canoe represents the community. And the idea is that once we all work together and we heal together, we can go to where the sun is. And that's when all the Indigenous people meet up so that we can heal from colonization and intergenerational trauma. And so the reason why I have it on my hand is because a lot of people will ask me about it. And the other thing is, whenever I reach for something, I'll remind myself that I don't need to be using substances, and really keep me on track of what my purpose is. So I really believe that if I were to drink again, I wouldn't have a purpose or a reason to be here anymore. And the interesting thing about all these tattoos is that I believe they're part of a healing journey and they tell a story. But the other thing is that we really believe in sacred geometry. So what that means is that each tattoo is unique to the person, and you tell the tattoo artist your story and they come up with a design. I um I've the only one that I picked from a book was the one on my left arm, but I asked him to change it up. And so the wings that wrap around my arm represent just like the strength of culture and ancestral teachings. But that's the only one I picked from a book. All the other ones I shared my story with the tattoo artist, and they then took that story and then developed the artwork for that. I have more, but of course I'm gonna pipe down. My clinketness is showing, so I'm going to stop there. But if anyone has any questions, um, feel free to ask. And I definitely want the tattoo artist's information. My sister and I are definitely inspired and want more tattoos.
That's awesome. So Paul, I was going to let you know that Kasha is actually who's done some of the work that I have, and she's been there for my annual tattoos. Except for this year, I wasn't able to get my annual tattoo. Oh man, Crystalline, you definitely hit some amazing points on your story. Goodness geez for your words. That's very powerful. And your sobriety is very powerful too. And that is just beautiful. So,
I did have one question.
Thank you. Yeah.
From a stylist trend, I chose to go just black ink, and as you know, our culture's got red and blues. What was your reason just for choosing black? I'm just curious.
So I had actually asked a number of people and they said that it would fade and I would need to do it again. And the other thing too was sometimes they could have, like one of my tattoos was used from ink that was made in Hawaii, and it was like a traditional
Mm,
kind of ink that they had been using for thousands of
absolutely.
years. And the other ones is that some of my tattoos are hand poke, skin stitch, and hand tap. And so I thought that black would just really show that um, I wouldn't have to get it redone, and I could do more traditional styles,
Mhm.
and I wouldn't have to really worry about it.
Yes, thank you. Goodness sheesh.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So I think let's give Crystal Lynn a nice warm round of applause. That was a really nice story. Thank you. That was really awesome.
Thank
I want to take a little bit of time. Might be a good time to take a quick break if you want to. And I think we will go, how about 4 minutes and get back here? Actually, no, it's 7:07 now. That's kind of short. We'll take maybe 5 minutes, come back at 7:12, and then maybe have Torin come in, AKA River Flows, start us off for the second half of our event. And so go use the bathroom, grab something to eat, maybe just jump up, adjust your buttocks so you're not sitting on one cheek, maybe sit on the other cheek, and and we'll come back in just a few minutes. So we'll be sitting here. Koyana ka. I'm on mute. Should be the theme of 2020. Hey, you're on mute. If you want to give me a thumbs up upon your return, that would be awesome. Us back. I like seeing all your thumbs. Right on. Waka Torin. There's my baby. They're my Stormies. You popped up on the video. She's down in Sitka right now with her honey. They live in the middle of downtown, and I sent her the link, and she's like, "Did you tell your story yet?" I was like, "No." She's like, "Oh, good. I was sad." So, I want to introduce my brother Tor. He's been a huge part of my life. We skipped school together back in high school, and he introduced me to hip hop with like back when Run DMC and Tribe Called Quest, way back when, and I brought my little stereo to junior high and I played DJ Easy Rock and raw bass every morning, like all of 7th or 8th grade. I forget which one that was, but that's we actually met by getting in a fight over a swing, I think in 5th grade, and so we've been friends ever since that fight, I think it was. Anyways, so let's give a nice warm welcome to River Flows.
Oh, Quentin, you. Yeah, everything he says is true. I beat him up.
Can't hear you. No audio.
Hold on.
I was hearing him.
I could hear him too.
I can hear him.
Can you still hear me?
Here.
Oh, you can't hear me, Quentin.
Got you.
Uh-huh. Well, thank you for having me. I'm not sharing any stories about tattoos, but it's good to see some familiar faces here. My sister over there too. I see you in your little square, and your camera's not on yet. Anyway, there you are. I'm from Bethel, and I just wanted to share just something real quick, just a little entertainment for you, just to hopefully lighten up your spirits. There's nothing heavy, nothing I'm going to say political about this because we have enough of that going on. This is just something I wrote to a beat that I like from a crew that I love, a tribe called Red. So this is just me sharing a little piece of art with you. Can you hear that? Can you hear that beat? You hear that native drum? That something else drum? River is meddling in music medicine for the betterment of veterans and ordinary citizens. The betterment much better than the freshman me, a letterman. I'm centering everything in my life to withstand the fiercest weathering. It's evident each predicate is vetted to measure to get ahead of the festering current stock of degenerate. So I'm severing these pestering mumblers, fumbling with letters in these sentences is a rhetoric that's so reverent. A holy matrimony, a flowing, going to entering your nervous system, overwhelming with every specimen of verbs and nouns, traversing nerves, pounding and hammering, serving more than a smattering, battering, ram shattering, the small lament or scattering, feeling the cage rattling. I'm flattering myself with this gift that lifted from pattern and shifted to full, ready for fit when the crowd's clamoring, guarantee satisfaction the way I handle this action. And ask any Alaskan how cold this Eskimo rapping can flow more than a snowstorm from Elsa and frozen clapping. Snowmen in Tibet and mountains want collab, and I'm so bad Michael Jackson's moonwalking in the promised land as this is happening. Nothing can ever go. You're in the water with me. Going down river. You're in the water with me. River can give the message no matter the rhythm. I came up out of my kingdom, bringing enlightenment and freedom. Spare me the comparing, I'm fearing a beast. So daring and blaring, nefariously beating them. They pleading the fib, bleeding, conceding, needing a breather, can hit them with a blow combo. K.O. Conor McGregor tweeted the gift. Oh, I'm on papyrus, Osiris, and hieroglyph. Extensive lexicon, my alter ego is wordsmith. So high above the zenith, beneath my feet lies Venus. I'm feeding so much meat in this here beat, make vegans cheaters. Turning believers out and non-hip hop's pick elitists. I got the force to slaughter of the Sith order, there's no weakness. Needless to say, he disarray of greatness in your speakers. I am my seedless, my queen breeds my genius to a fetus. Previous dreamers are sleepless, speechless, seeking reasons for this here deepness. My keenness completes his PhD thesis. Took you in the water with me right there.
Caught us on fire too, boy.
Well, thank you for letting me share a little bit of lyrical art with you there. I really appreciate the opportunity, Quentin. You know I love you, bro.
I love you too, man. Peace out, man. Thanks for showing up, man. You showed up for real. Wow, that was definitely a mouthful. Let's give AKA River Flows a round of applause. That was something else. Whew. Man, I want to go dance. Like that was I want to hear more of that. That was beautiful. Thank you. That was beautiful. We're gonna move right along, and I am thinking that Napaktuk really wants to get his words out there, and so let's give a nice warm welcome to the best earrings in the house, Mr. Matthew Sanchez. You're on mute still.
Koy nakpak Quentin. Uvanga atara napaktok tani sinira Matthew utreving mi uranga utrevmi aning uranga Sanchez koya uranga angiyu kaka nuroglu amoglu tani sinagi sa mayulu jelu lisak tunga yua amy in your runga deakak mi. Hello, everybody. My name is Matthew Sanchez. My Nupak name is Napaktok. I got that name from my uncle. I was born and raised in Utrecht, Alaska. My parents are Maya and Jay, also in Europe and Amorok. I currently am living here in Anchorage, Alaska, and I am studying at UAA. So that's a little bit of introduction for me. Before I talk about my tattoos, I want to give some representation to the two artists that I'm repping today. My earrings are made from Lisa Apongaluk, also known as Can You Not on Instagram. And then this beaded necklace is from, his name is Warren Mountain. He is, I believe, Ojibwe, but I know he's Anishinaabe. Lisa Pongaluk is Tlingit and Siberian Uzbek. So I just want to give them a big shout out because I'm wearing their jewelry today. So I am talking about three of my tattoos. My finger tattoos, my wrist tattoos, as well as my face tattoo. So let's start with the very first tattoos that I have received, which are my finger tattoos. I received my finger tattoos in the early part of August of last year, and the name of these tattoos are called Susuma Anna, which is pretty much about the tattoos of the sea goddess in Inuit cultures. The sea goddess is also known as Sedna, but in the Nupak region, I learned from Ronald Brower that her name in Nupak culture was Shijarina, which was a revelation for me to find out, and I was really ecstatic when I learned about that. So yeah, so I got my finger tattoos done by Holly Nordlum, also Matitkok. It was more of like a spur of the moment, but it was also something that I needed to do. And I measured her 1 week, then a couple of days later, I got them done. It took 2 sessions total to finish them, well, to get them where they are right now, because I still plan on doing my entire hands. But these are very special tattoos to me. First, I want to talk about the lines. So the lines are the part that signifies sedna. The lines closer to the main knuckles of the fingers, those are to represent Sejarina, because she is pretty much why we hunt and harvest whales, seals, polar bear, the marine mammals in Inuit cultures. Then when we go right under her, right under these lines, each of these lines for the second part, those are to represent my mother, because she is the woman I look up to the most in my life, because she is a very powerful and a very strong woman for what she has gone through in her life. And I want to get the resilience and strength that she has. And then the next one, the next line under, those are to represent my sisters. I have 3 sisters. So it's the story behind them is I get the mix up, like, is it each finger or is it each line? But the lines are to represent the woman in my life, because they're my sisters, they're very close to me and whatnot. Then here are the dots on each knuckle. Each dot is represent both my brother and my father, just because, like, I wanted my immediate family to be represented onto my fingers, because, like, that's just really important. Like, I use my fingers the most, and like it's the most prominent, and I show that my family is really close to me, that they're very important to me. So for the thumbs is a bit more different. Like, it is a part of Susuma Ana, but the thumbs are to represent me specifically, because growing up and stuff like that, I often kind of felt disconnected from my Inupiat culture, which is a very sad thing, but I'm starting to finally reconnect. Which is why, like, when your hands are relaxed, the thumbs are more separate from the rest of the fingers. And so it kind of shows that disconnect. But when I bring my fingers together, like when I'm doing beadwork or sewing, they come together as one entire unit. Then these Ys are, from what I have learned, is to signify family in general. And that's really important, because in Inupiat culture, and I'm pretty sure also in other native cultures, that family is a huge thing for all of us, because that's pretty much the foundation of who we are, as well as community, but family is like the base. So yes, that one was from August of last year, and I plan on getting more, hopefully, after this pandemic settles down a little bit. So going up are my wrist tattoos. I received these ones. I first started them in October of last year. Then I got, unfortunately, only one side touched up back in January. So these triangles with the dots are especially important to me, because I watched the Tunit documentary by Alithia Ogunhukbaril. If you haven't seen that documentary, I highly recommend. It is a really amazing documentary. There was one, I can't remember where I found this design. It might have been in one of the books that either Holly or Sarah had them. But these are to signify the kulik flames, the seal oil lamp flames. I specifically chose this design because IU Peter, who was the partner in collaborating with Alethea, that she said that her flames on the kulik was not neat, which means that she seems not to be a good seamstress. And if people do personally know me, I am really into beadwork and sewing. I actually have one of my beadworks next to me right now. And that should, like, signify that I am pretty much somebody that sews, somebody that does beadwork. If anybody wants to see it, I can, like, yeah. So that's pretty much the basis or the premise of what these triangles with the dots mean, the kulik flames. And then these stitches also are to signify my sewing passion, my beading passion, because I love doing arts and crafts. I've always been an artsy person while growing up. I used to do crochet as one of those those kid projects because it was just really fun and relaxing for me. And then finally on these parts are the traditional designs of when men in Inuit culture would get their face tattoo. These are to also signify the labrettes that they also had. It took a long time to figure out what I wanted on my wrist. I'm glad I settled with these. So these labrettes are to honor the past Inuit men from what has happened, and also a sign of revitalization of these tattoos. These wrist tattoos were done by Sarah Wayland Loon, also known as Ayaki, and I love both Sarah and Holly's work. Another thing about these finger tattoos I also want to touch on is my identity has a queer two-spirit Anupiaq. Long story short, people like me used to openly exist in Inuit society and Inuit communities until colonization. So these tattoos is to signify that and to reclaim identity and to be seen in my community as an equal, has a queer two-spirit Anupiaq. So let's see, this might work on me. Next photo. Is it showing? Is this picture of my face tattoo showing? Okay, so the next part is my face tattoo, which I received back in March before quarantine. I want to specify on that part, before quarantine. I got these ones done by Holly, and I spent a month and a half to 2 months figuring out what design looked nice, what was the angles, what was the spacing, but also researching what were the traditional tattoos that Inuit men or Inuit male passing people received. And this was one that specifically spoke out to me the most. When I was getting these done, I couldn't help but think of all my ancestors and everyone in the past that has unfortunately did not have the opportunity to get these tattoos, specifically the face tattoos. And I was also just praying to Siliam Inwa, or the spirits of the atmosphere or spirits of the universe, because I just couldn't stop thinking about it. I also wanted to do some throat singing when I was getting this face tattoo done, but because my head was at an awkward angle, hanging at the edge of the tattoo bedding, it was I just couldn't do it. But it was just thought after thought of Silam Inua and my ancestors and everyone before me that unfortunately couldn't have this because of colonization. I also wanted to show, I made my first Itichluk 2 years ago. It's a very rusty Itichluk, but it is my favorite color of red in Kaviksak, which is red for Anupiaq. It's a very rough one, but it's for my first time. It is pretty decent, but I do plan on hoping to make more one of these days once school is over. I think that will be everything. Hopefully I'm not forgetting anything at all. If anybody has any questions, put in the chat or just ask me.
Kuya Nakfa Matthew.
Why not?
Us back. I really love your story, and I really like this kind. That's really cool. When did you get those again?
This past March, just before quarantine.
Okay. Cool. And are those poked?
Yes, I got them done by Holly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the main criteria was that I have to get them traditionally or hand poked done. One of my future tattoos I want to get is from the one I showed you. I learned that this design specifically is about the Tularaq, or the raven. And I love the raven because And the Nukbat culture, Tulungik Shruk is the creator raven, and I would love to get that one done at some point in time.
That's beautiful. I actually have a raven tattoo. It's done actually in a Southeast design that I did myself. I was adopted Duckdane Tan back in 2007. And so to represent that part, I got a raven tattoo on my, yeah, sea pigeon, you got it. And we're of the Raven Nest House. And so from Una. Anyways, I always love your stories, Matthew. Thank you for sharing with us. Koya Nakfa Ilok, that was beautiful.
Koy nakpak.
Let's give Matthew a nice round of applause. Us back. So we did have another storyteller slated to tell his story this evening, but he was unable to make it. And he's a good friend of mine, and he actually submitted a video that I was able to post to Facebook. And I do have that video, so I am going to share my screen and share the video from Edward Diolana, who is a good friend of mine that I started working with at the Alaska Native Heritage Center back when I was still in college, about 2004. Yes, I will make sure that my computer audio is on when I do that. I think it's on the audio part. I'll figure it out. Anyways, let me get that going. Does everybody see that? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, same as system and speaker, same as system. Hopefully that'll work. And can you hear it?
I can't hear it.
Okay.
When you go to share your screen, it should have something, I think, like a caret next to it that says something about share audio, share computer audio.
I don't see that. Let me see. So I'm just going to audio settings.
It will say something like share your computer audio.
This one, audio, speaker. I've done this before and it worked the last time. And can you hear that?
I think if you stop share and then go to share again, it will, I think, have like the option.
Just below the screen. Okay, let me try again. Hope I close it down. I will need to open it back up again. I am sorry for that. Here we are with all these technical difficulties. I got it back going again. There's maybe and share computer sound and share and play.
Hi, my name's Edward, and I wanted to share with you my design of a traditional tattoo that I got maybe about 5 years ago, and it's from the geometric shape of from my boots, what people know as gummies or buluruks, or also known as mukluks. But these were made by my grandma when I was in high school, and the bottoms are tanned sealskin, and then this is the main body. It's made from calf skin, and then it's trimmed with wolverine. And so this design is particular to me, and every person gets their own design. So usually created by the elder of your household. So she made this design for me. Each of these little pieces are individually cut, and then they're sewn together. And so it goes all the way around. And so I wanted to honor my grandma and get a tattoo of this design from my boots, which you see right here on my arm. It's the same geometric shape. Tried to get the same color. And then same thing on the back here. But then I put KI in these diamonds because it stands for King Island. That's where my family's from. I'm a Newbelt, and that's where my family's from, King Island. So, thank you.
Yeah, those are some hardcore skills indeed. Oh, so that was my buddy Ed. He teaches or is a new belt dancer from King Island. He performed last year with the King Island Drummers and Singers of Anchorage for the Giving Thanks Dance Festival at the end of this month. And so these events that we have going on are a series of events. Next week, we're going to be having a post by Native Student Council starting on Monday. I'm not sure what is those posts are for. Maybe Anne Marie can give us a little bit of an update. And then on Wednesday, we're having a film and discussion, which is Yuyarak, and that is the book by Harold Napoleon, which was turned into a film, and we're having a discussion about that. And then on Friday, we're having Deneina dance lessons and Simshian dance lessons on Friday. And then the following week, we're going to be having another post on Monday from Native Student Council. And then Wednesday, we're going to be having a discussion with some Native Games competitors, Kyle Worrell and Andrew Kashavirov, Nicole Johnston, and Donna Bach. Will be able to discuss some of that. And the producer of the film, Games of the North, will also be there. And then on Friday, we're going to have some traditional storytelling. I will tell a Yupik story called The First Yuk, which is the first man. And Haley Hanna-Stepetin and Dustin Newman will have dance and storytelling as well on that Friday. And then the following Monday, we have Gather, the second showing of that. And that is going to be followed by a discussion. My mom will be on a panel along with Flora Deacon and Edna Standifer. And so we have a plethora of events. Also, we're going to be discussing some stuff through the museum. Ernestine Hayes is having a talk somewhere in this month. I forget the dates of those, but if you go to Green and Gold for UAA, we have a bunch of events, and I can actually, I'll worry about that at the end. I am wondering if there is anybody in the group that has a tattoo story that would like to share something that they got. You can give me a thumbs up, or you can turn on your camera. There's oh, are you wanting to tell another story, Natasha? No, yes, no.
I could, it's a real short one and it's cute, so it's good for a closer.
I do have a quick story that I wanted to share as well. If you want to, since you started us off, it might be good if you close us out, and I can put a story in the middle before we get done. Oh, look, Kim Morton put all of the cool stuff in the text there, so that is awesome.
Okay,
Thank you, Kim.
my phone for just a minute.
Okay, well, I will tell my story, and my story actually has it's a 5-year-old story, which is kind of weird. We have like this 4 or 5-year-old kind of time frame for some of our stories, and I will share my screen again and share my picture. And so, can you guys see that? Can you get a thumbs up? All right, thank you. Okay, so this is my sobriety tattoo, and the triangle and the circle is kind of representative of sobriety. And about 5 years ago, give or take, about 5.5, I got sober, and I needed something to commemorate my first year of this journey of my life. And so one of the things that is really important in my journey is honoring every step, honoring every day, every hour, every part of where I am in my life, because it's a blessing. I mean, there was times there where I should have died, and it was dark. It was kind of scary. And so what happened was, after my first year, I got this tattoo. And if you look at the symbolism, there's the one, and then the footprint, and the footprint is also an infinity symbol. And so that represents one step for infinity. And so I'm always taking that one step. And then every year I get a footprint. And so Kasha Palmer, who actually did Paul's work, did the tattoo work on that. And then she did each footprint for every year I was sober. And if you look at the very top one, it's a little faded and it looks a little grayer than the rest of them. And that was because this year, when it was time for my annual tattoo, we were in COVID, and I couldn't, and I was also here in Homer. And so after the weekend of my 1 year, or my 5th year of celebration, my anniversary, my partner, Jennifer here, I asked her if she would poke that top footprint right there. And so she hand poked that for me on my 5th anniversary of sobriety. And I'm really grateful that I had my partner here to do that. And we learned a little bit about, you need to thicken up the ink because it bleeds out in the skin a little bit. And so we add some oil and get that touched up. But that is my traditional poking tattoo. And I will stop sharing. And yeah, that was really cool. So I wanted, this has been my event for the past 3 years, and I've never told any of my tattoo stories. And so I want to say thank you, Kuya Nakwa, Kunastush, Chanan, for letting me share my story.
Awesome, Quentin. Awesome.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks, Crystalline. So let's go ahead and turn the mic over to Natasha Gamache, and she can close us out with her very happy story.
Okay, is it working? It's working. Okay. All right. So, I realized I didn't introduce myself earlier, so I'll do a really quick introduction. Hello, everyone again. My new back name is Akman Oloruk. That was a name given to me by my great-grandmother. My mother is my mother is Michelle Bovard. My grandma is Frances Miller. My great-grandma is Frances Johnson. Her husband was Albert Johnson. And my family is from the Fish River area, White Mountain Council. And I was raised in Nome, but now I live in Anchorage. So this is my closing tattoo. I got notes with it and everything. Okay, so growing up, I didn't know my native family very well. It's a very long story. I was raised by my grandma, who was very abusive, okay? And so we never got to see anybody. Well, when I got older, like just this year, I got to connect with my great auntie Carolyn Schubert, right? I love Auntie Carolyn, holy buckets. Anyway, Auntie Carolyn, she's like, I don't know, she's got to be close to 80. And I remember growing up seeing her because we would go to her fish camp, and she had a new tattoo. I'm like, Auntie, you're almost 80. How did you get a tattoo? And she goes, oh, this is a good story. So she sat me down. She goes, okay, you're Aki. She goes, Aki must have been in her 80s, maybe 90s. They were sitting down one day and she goes, I never noticed Mom had a tattoo, right? I don't know if you could see it right here on her arm. And she goes, Mom, what is this? And this is my great grandma. My great grandma goes, they're supposed to be same. Now, if you look at my arm, they're not. One is clearly longer than the other, right? And that was how it was on my great auntie. And that's how it was on my great grandma. And she goes, they're supposed to be same. And my auntie looks at her and she goes, but they not same. And she goes, how come they not same? And my great auntie said that my great grandma, you could see like in her mind, her going back to, it was like she was getting the tattoo all over again. And you could see her face change and her body posture change. And she goes, I couldn't do it. It hurt too much. And so she was supposed to get two lines of the same size, but she couldn't because it hurt too bad. So she quit. So my great auntie says, here's the moral of the story for that tattoo. What does it mean? My auntie says, this is what our family, it's become a family tattoo now. And I've never shared this with anyone. So she says, life isn't always equal, but close counts in all cases. There you go. It's done. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
All right. Well, I'm glad you spilled your ink on that one. Aspek Kuya Nakwa. Thank you so much, Natasha. That was a good wrap it up and tie it off really good.
I told you.
That's awesome. So, man, what a cool night. I'm really glad that we had this opportunity to share even though it's on Zoom, it's not the same. And what a beautiful night. I am just tickled. All kinds of different colors. I'm just something else. So I hope everybody has a beautiful night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe, stay COVID free, stay, good people. And I am just glad we're able to come together and share. This has been a really wonderful night. And thank you to my baby, Stormy, for showing up. I love you. It's good to see you, babe. You guys have a good night. And Bura, continue to be just as you are. Bura. Koyana, Anita. Are you still there? Almost 8 o'clock, right on time. Well, I'm going to close us down.